Hello everyone, 010 Desert Gold here. I'd do something different today. It's getting closer to that time of the year when we start heating up around here, and I thought I'd start digging out my brewing equipment. But then I came up with an idea. I've been interested in this beer. It's called Rum Runner Stout, but I've never had it before, and I thought that buying a whole kit would be, not a good idea if it turned out not to be something I liked. So Northern Brewers has this great idea where you can buy a small batch and brew up a gallon and see if you like it before you spend substantially more for the full kit. Anyway, I went ahead and picked this one up. Another thing that is nice about these is you don't have to get all your equipment going. You don't have to get your wort chillers out. You don't have to get a bunch of carboys ready. And well, especially in my situation, I'll show you. All you're going to need is a fermenter, and I'm using my old Mr. Beer 2-gallon fermenter, a couple of gallons of spring water, the kit, and here I'm just using a regular old spaghetti pot. So in the sense of being easy, you can't get any more friendly than this situation. The kit is pretty cool too. It comes with everything you're going to need. You've got your hops. You've got a grain bag for steeping the grains. They even give you what they call fizz drops. They're a fermenting sugar that you put in your bottles to carbonate, so you finish the beer in the bottle, which gives it a really nice overall flavor. And they give you your grains, malts, barleys. You got a couple pounds of malt extract for your fermentable, and then some yeast. I'm going to kick it up a little bit more. I'm going to add about another pound of orange blossom honey. This kit supposedly comes in about 9%. I'm going to try and kick it up to about 10% ABV and see how that turns out. Now we'll get going on the brew process, and you'll see how simple it is. Okay, so all I've done so far is added the DME or dry malt extract to the pot. Also added the honey, and I wanted to, it's actually backwards from what they say to do. You're supposed to steep the grains and then add your fermentables, but with dry malt extract that gets to be a pain sometimes, so I'm going backwards here. I've got those already in the pot. I'm warming it up, and now I'm going to put the grains in that mesh bag that came with the kit. Yeah, I wish you could smell these. You can smell chocolate, caramel, malt. Oh, it's just wonderful. So let me get that in the mesh bag. There you go, and you got it in the bag. Just tie it up. Like I said, this is a great idea for trying out something. You're working with smaller quantities, easier to manipulate, and it's a lot more beginner friendly than some of the others. And then as this warms up a little more, I'll put that in there and let it steep, so that you want to let it steep for about 10 or 15 minutes and let those malts get into the wort, and we're off and running. So I just put the grains in the mixture, or the soon-to-be wort. And while that's steeping, I've got it set for about 15 minutes, actually more like 12, 13. I wanted to show you this for a second. Like I said, this is when I first started getting into brewing. I bought one of these kits, and they're pretty doggone cool. They really help you get off the ground and learn about, brewing beer, or the brewing process in itself. The thing I like about this is, first of all, like I said, it's 2 gallons, so a 1 gallon beer is going to be just perfect in this. I've got some sanitizer in it right now. That's the other thing you want to remember. Everything has to be sanitized, and with this quantity of beer, the sanitizing is a lot easier. I just had to sanitize my spoon, the fermenter, and I've got another mesh bag that I'm going to be using for the hops when it comes time to add to that. But the thing that makes this a good choice for this kind of a situation is, not only is this a fermenter, you don't need a airlock, because this has got a proprietary lid on it that vents out of the top without having to have to sterilize and get a airlock on top of it. So it's going to be venting excess gas through the top. The other thing I like about it is, I don't know if you can see it, the base is actually sits below the level of the volume in the keg, and that actually works out really well, because that acts as a trub hop or trub collection, so that you can just let it collect down there, and then you can draw your beer off out of the spout without having to siphon to another separate carboy and then possibly introduce contaminants into your brew. So it's a one shot, easy to use situation, and it makes it really very convenient. I mean, like I said, I'm going to take this, instead of having to dig out my wort chiller, I'm just going to stick this in the freezer and chill it down to about 70 degrees after the boil is over, and then pitch my yeast and let it ferment. Let nature do its course. Well, we're getting close here, so I'll get ready to get this grain bag out here. All right, so we're finally in the home stretch. I've already transferred the wort to the fermenter. I used a funnel that was sanitized in the bucket. Now I'm going to agitate the wort a little bit, because all that boiling takes some of the oxygen out of the liquid, and yeast likes oxygen, so kind of just give it a little shake, rattle, and roll here. that should be good enough. In about 30 minutes prior to, actually it was more like, I want to say 20 minutes, I should say, I activated the yeast. I used just some warm water, the dry yeast, put a little bit of honey in there for starter food, and put a yeast nutrient in there too. And I got a beautiful yeast cake. I don't know if you can see this. Beautiful. Some healthy yeast there. That's it. We be done. I gotta put the lid on it. I'm gonna put it in a cool, dark place for about a month. And then we're gonna have some beer. I'm excited. All right. Looks like it was a long time. Most of the time I was waiting for things to boil or cool down. Other than that, it went like clockwork. So these 1 gallon kits are a real good place to start if you want to look into learning how to brew some beer. Anyway, we'll open this back up in a month and we'll see the end result. Later. This is what it looks like when you give your yeast a good head start. This is only after 12 hours of fermenting and it's going nuts, period. Totally awesome.